I want to just talk about some things. I got 7 things here that I want to talk about that will help you with your relationships. And you can apply this to your marriage. You can apply this to your friends. It'll work in every area of life. Because if we're really going to have the quality of life that Jesus intends for us to have, a lot of that's going to come about through our relationship with each other. So number 1, things to enhance or affect the quality of your life. Number 1, believe the truth in your heart. Believe the truth in your heart. Everything from the kingdom comes from this place. Everything that you experience from God first comes because we believe the truth in our heart. Now, that's different than us just having knowledge and saying, yeah, I know the truth. But when we believe the truth in our hearts, change becomes effortless, transformation is instantaneous, and just all manner of benefit comes from us believing the truth in our heart. I first had to believe that the quality of life I was living and expecting was substandard from what God had for me. And so I had to then say, you know what, I'm going to believe for a different standard, a different quality of life. The purpose that Jesus came here in John 10:10, to give them a rich and satisfying life. Number 2, and this one's a tough one because we all are guilty of this one. Number 2, you can't change anybody, including yourself, really. Without God's help, you might change your behavior, but you'll always have to maintain that change that you make in your behavior until you enlist His help and believe the truth in your heart. So you can't change anybody. Husbands, don't try to change your wives. Wives, don't try to change your husbands. I mean, I know as a husband trying to change my wife, that ain't working. You know what I'm saying? That is not working. So you can't change anybody. Number 3, if you're going to be successful in your relationship, I believe that this one for Christians is absolutely essential. You ready? I'm going to hit you right between the eyes now. Stop talking and listen. Stop talking and listen. You ever listen to some of the news commentators and they'll have some preacher or somebody on there and they're just stupid. You know, they're just not very bright. And you just wish it's like, man, I wish they would they're doing more damage for the kingdom than they are helping the kingdom. I wish they would just stop and just listen. And I believe in our society that we're at a critical place in Christianity and Christian development in our nation where it's going to require us to be quiet. Because really, first of all, I mean, I was a business consultant for many years, and the first rule of consulting is this, that you go in to talk to a customer and you let them talk to you. And they tell you all about the needs and the problems that they have. And at the end of that, what you have twice as much knowledge as they do. Because you know all that you know and you all that they know, but they don't know all that you know. And that's why they pay you money, is to tell them what you know. But it requires first for us to listen. There are some of you in your marriages, it would really benefit you to just be quiet and listen to your spouse. But in our relationships, it's absolutely essential that we listen. A lot of people will ask me or email me, and they'll say, they'll want me. I was here a few weeks ago and did a songwriters workshop in Harry's Mug, and one of the first questions that they always ask, or that I always reiterate to them, is they want to know about the process of songwriting. And anytime somebody asks me about writing or songwriting, I'll have the first answer. The most important thing about writing is not writing, it's listening. Because you won't have that inspiration. You have to have that inspiration first, and that inspiration won't come if you're not listening. And it's important that when inspiration does happen for you creative mind people out here, you business people, when inspiration happens, it's absolutely essential that you act on that inspiration right then. That moment. Write it down. Get it in writing. Make sure that you capture that moment of inspiration, because it won't last. It'll be gone. So stop talking and listen. It's a nice way of saying shut up. Number 4, how to enhance the quality of your life and your relationships. Number 4, own your own stuff. Be responsible to own your own stuff. And when people talk to you about their stuff that they're owning, be responsible to just do what number 3 was, just be quiet. But own your own stuff. You're in control of your own world. Stop blaming each other and take responsibility for your own actions. We live in a culture and in a world where no one is responsible. No one steps up to the plate and says, this is it. Especially right around election time. Everybody else is to blame. Nobody's responsible for the problem. And who cares whether we're responsible for the problem or not, but what are we going to do? So own your own stuff. If you've got issues in your life, quit hiding those issues and deal with them. Deal with them straight up, because you know what? God will help you and He'll give you His grace to get through it. Number 5, choose your battles. Choose your battles. There's some battles you need to fight and some battles you don't. Some of you husbands know what I'm talking about on that one. There's some battles you need to fight and some battles you don't. And you need to choose them, because some battles just aren't worth fighting. Number 6, I've already talked about this. Get busy living. Get busy living. Enjoy life. This is the day the Lord has made. I will be glad and rejoice in it. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Day in, day out, every day. I fail at this. I'm owning my stuff. I fail at this one. But I'm working on it. This is the day the Lord. I will be glad. Just that one thing. If we can just get that down in our hearts, I'm glad. God, I'm glad with the day that you've made. I'm happy with what you've given me. If we can just get that down. Here's a quote that some people attribute to Mark Twain. Nobody really knows where it came from. It goes like this. 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than the things that you did do. And I can tell you right now, I understand that that's the truth. 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the things you did. When they talk to people that are retiring or near death, their race is won. One of the things that they say, well, what would you do different with your life? And almost always they'd say, I'd risk more. I'd risk more. And I don't know about you, but I've been looking for a safe life, and I'm about done looking at that. So number 7, how to enhance the quality of your life and help your relationships. Number 7, understand that selfishness is a monster. Selfishness is a monster. It is. It'll kill your relationships. It'll stop your growth and your development. And it's real easy for us as Americans to fall into that habit of selfishness. The Pharisees came to Jesus in Matthew 19 and said, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason, for just any reason? And Jesus then in turn said, let's just turn over there and read it. It's Matthew 19, verse 3, because I can't quote it exactly. I've been using too many different translations, and so now I'm all confused. Matthew 19:3, some Pharisees came and tried to trap him with this question. Should a man be allowed to divorce his wife for just any reason? And then Jesus answers in verse 4, haven't you read the scriptures? They record that from the beginning God made them male and female, and He said, this explains why a man leaves his father and his mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Since they are no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together. Now that was Jesus' answer. They asked him, well, is it okay for us to divorce our wives for whatever reason? And Jesus says this, this is what, God made them, two of them become one, and whatever's, God's joined together, don't separate. Well, that didn't satisfy the Pharisees. So they said then, in verse 7, Why then did Moses say in the law that a man could give his wife a written notice of divorce and send her away, they ask. Jesus, in the next verse, in verse 8, will answer every problem that you'll ever have in your relationship or in your marriage. Jesus replied, Moses permitted divorce only as a concession to your hard hearts. But it was not what God had originally intended. See, the reality, if we're going to have successful relationships, we're going to have successful marriages, it comes down to really the condition of our heart. And if we allow our hearts to be hard, or if we allow ourselves to be selfish, then we're never going to be able to really fully experience the quality of the rich, satisfying life that Jesus came to fulfill. It requires that us, Jesus here says every problem in marriage comes down to the condition of your heart. Not her heart, but your heart. Not his heart, but your heart. And if we have a heart that's right with God, if we have a heart that's teachable, because a lot of times we get in situations where we close ourselves off from learning, and we won't allow anybody to really, anything to really come and say, here's some stuff that you need to own, like any person, like the Holy Spirit come to teach us about the realities of what's going on in our heart. So we need to be those people that are open, that say, you know what, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn. And as long as we keep our hearts pliable and open, we'll be able to endure and overcome any obstacle that would happen in our relationships.